Hey there. Tonight, we're traveling back Urbeck years. Back to a time when surviving in Utah's deserts meant knowing exactly which rocks held water, which plants wouldn't kill you, and which neighboring clans wanted your territory badly enough to fight for it. You are standing in a landscape so hostile that modern survival experts wouldn't last 3 days without technology. Yet your people, the Fremont, have called these canyons home for generations. You've learned to read the desert, like others read faces. You know the weight of hunger, the sting of alkali dust and cracked lips, the metallic taste of fear before a raid. This isn't a story about noble savages or mystical wisdom. This is about caloric deficiency, about infected wounds with no antibiotics, about making stone tools because that's literally all you have, about watching children die from diseases that would take a single pill to cure today. So dim the lights, get comfortable. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Because for the next hour, you're not in your safe climate-controlled room. You're in Bad by CE, in the high deserts of what will one day be called Utah. And you're just trying to survive another day. You wake before dawn because sleeping past sunrise in summer means baking in your pit house like bread in an oven. The air inside is thick, stale, musty with the smell of stored corn and human bodies. Your younger sister is pressed against your back, her breathing steady. Your mother is already stirring near the fire pit, which has burned down to ash and a few glowing embers. Your name is Koa. You're 14 summers old, which makes you nearly a man by your people's standards, nearly old enough to join the hunting parties that venture into the highlands, nearly old enough to be considered for marriage alliances with neighboring clans. But right now you're just cold, despite it being summer, because desert nights steal heat from your bones. The pit house is dug 4 feet into the earth, with walls of stacked sandstone and a roof of juniper poles covered in packed mud. It's designed to stay cool in summer, warm in winter. It mostly works. Mostly, your family of 6 shares this space, approximately 12 feet in diameter. Privacy is a concept that won't exist for another 1,000 years. You sit up, careful not to wake your sister. Your father is already gone, probably checking the snares he set yesterday for rabbits. Your older brother, Nakoa, is still asleep near the entrance, his arm thrown over his face to block the gray light filtering down through the smoke hole. Your stomach growls. It always growls. The corn harvest last fall was adequate, but not abundant, and spring is the hungry time. The stored food is running low, and the new crops won't be ready for another moon cycle. The desert air hits your face as you emerge from the pit house. It's cold enough to see your breath, despite knowing that in 6 hours, this same air will shimmer with heat waves that make the distant mesas ripple like water. The village is small, 11 pit houses scattered across a slight rise near the canyon. Below, perhaps a quarter mile away, a thin stream flows. That stream is everything. It's why your people built here, why your ancestors chose this spot 40 years ago, why other clans occasionally probe your defenses to see if they can take it. You stand and stretch, your spine cracking in 3 places. The eastern horizon is turning from black to deep purple. Stars still visible overhead in their uncountable thousands. No light pollution exists yet. No pollution of any kind except smoke. The air smells of sage, dust, and the faint mineral tang of stone. Other villagers are emerging from their pit houses. Old Makia, the shaman, is already sitting on the roof of his dwelling, facing east, singing his morning prayer in a voice like grinding stones. You don't understand all the words. They're in the old dot language. But you know he's asking the sun to return, to bring warmth, to make the corn grow. Your mother climbs up beside you carrying a burden basket. Koa, she says, her voice rough from sleep. Water duty. You nod. Water duty means hiking down to the stream, filling containers, hauling them back up the slope. You'll make this trip 3 times before the day is done. Your shoulders already ache from yesterday's trips, and the day hasn't truly started yet. You retrieve your water jars, 2 ceramic vessels that your mother made last winter, painted with geometric designs in black on gray. They're beautiful, functional, and if you drop them, you'll spend a week making replacements. The path to the stream is worn smooth by hundreds of feet over the years. You walk carefully in the dim light, knowing that a twisted ankle could be a death sentence in a world without medical care beyond herbal poultices, and hoping to the spirits that the stream is perhaps 15 feet wide at this time of year, flowing fast from the spring snowmelt in the mountains. You can see to the east blue-gray shadows against the lightening sky. In late summer, this stream will shrink to a trickle, and water duty will become even more precious and time-consuming. You're not alone. 3 other people from the village are already here. 2 women and a boy younger than you. The women are filling their containers in silence, their movements efficient. The boy is trying to catch minnows with his hands, a futile effort that makes you smile despite yourself. You kneel at the water's edge, setting your jars carefully on a flat rock. The water is so cold, it makes your hands ache immediately. You fill the first jar, watching sediment swirl and settle. The water isn't clear, but it's what you have. Boiling it would use fuel, dried juniper, and cottonwood. That's also precious. As you fill the second jar, you hear it, a sound that doesn't belong. A sound that makes every person at the stream freeze simultaneously. A whistle, sharp, short, repeated twice, the alarm signal. Raiders, your heart rate doubles instantly. You grab both jars, water sloshing over the rims, soaking your loincloth. The women are already running uphill, their containers abandoned. The boy is frozen, confused, too young to understand what the whistle means. Run! You shout at him, and he does, his small legs pumping. You're running too, water jars clutched against your chest, the liquid weight throwing off your balance. Behind you from the south, you hear the sound you've heard before but hoped, not the hoped. Hoped, never to hear again. The war cries of a raiding party. You reach the village breathing hard, your calves burning. The jars are somehow still intact. Other villagers are scrambling, children being shoved into pit houses, men grabbing weapons, women gathering stones. Your father is shouting orders. He's not the village chief. That's old Tua, who's 90 and mostly deaf. But your father has led the defense before. He sees you. Koa, stones, north side. You set the water jars down and run to the pile of round river stones, kept specifically for this purpose. Each stone fits comfortably in your hand, carefully selected over months. You grab 4 and sprint to the north defensive position, a low wall of stacked rocks that offers some protection. The raiding party is visible now, perhaps 40 warriors strong, moving fast from the south. They're Fremont, too, from a clan 3 canyons over. You recognize some of them. You've traded with their people during the autumn gathering. This is how it works. Sometimes you trade, sometimes you raid. Resources are scarce and morality is a luxury. They want your water source. They want your stored corn. They want to drive you off so they can claim this territory. Your hands are shaking as you fit a stone into your sling, a length of braided yucca fiber that you've practiced with since you were 6. You're good with a sling. Not great, not like Nakoa, but good enough to crack a rabbit's skull at 30 paces. The raiders are shouting now, working themselves up, trying to intimidate. It's working. Your bladder feels suddenly full, your mouth dry. This is your 3rd raid in your 14 years. You've seen men die. You've seen what a stone does to a human skull when hurled with enough force. The first stone whistles past your head before you even see Who threw it? It misses by a hand's width and shatters against the rock behind you, sharp fragments stinging your back. Then it's chaos. The raiders charge the village perimeter, spreading out to prevent easy targets. Stones fly from both sides. You hear the sickening crack of stone meeting bone, followed by a scream. Can't tell if it's one of yours or theirs. You whirl your sling overhead once, twice, 3 times and release. The stone arcs through the air and misses. It strikes the ground 5 feet from your target, bouncing harmlessly. Your hands are shaking too badly. Breathe! Your father shouts from 20 feet away. Aim low. You load another stone. A raider is charging directly toward your position, club raised, face twisted in fury and fear and bloodlust. He's maybe 20 years old with painted stripes across his chest in white clay. You whirl and release, or this time the stone catches him in the chest. Not a killing blow, wrong angle, but hard enough to knock the wind from his lungs. He stumbles, gasps, falls to his knees. Your brother Nakoa is there in an instant, club raised, and you look away before it falls. The attack lasts maybe 15 minutes. It feels like hours. By the time the raiders retreat, they've lost 3 men, taken 1 prisoner, failed to breach the village proper. Your ears are ringing, and your hands are bleeding from gripping stones. Nakoa is wounded, a gash across his forehead leaking blood into his eyes. Old Pakwa is dead, a stone having crushed his temple. He was 63, ancient by your standards. His granddaughter is wailing, the sound cutting through the relative quiet. You're alive. You're not sure how you feel about that. The hours after a raid are somehow worse than the raid itself. There's the adrenaline crash, leaving you hollow and shaky. There's the work of treating the wounded with limited supplies. Crushed yarrow for bleeding, willow bark tea for pain, prayer for infection. Old Pakwa is prepared for burial. His body is wrapped in his best rabbit fur blanket, painted with red ochre, precious, traded from tribes to the south, and carried to the burial ground a half-mile north. You help dig the pit in the hard desert soil. It takes 4 men 3 hours. Every shovelful is a reminder that death is the only certainty. Nakoa sits still while your mother sews his forehead gash with sinew thread and a bone needle. He doesn't flinch, though you see his jaw muscles working. Pride is everything. Showing pain is weakness, and weakness gets you killed. You finally retrieve your water jars. They're still where you left them, miraculously unbroken. The water inside is warm now, but you drink it anyway. Your throat so dry it clicks when you swallow. Your father finds you sitting outside your pit house, staring at nothing. He sits beside you in silence for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is tired. You hit one. Nakoa killed him. You stopped him. That's what matters. Your father's hand is heavy on your shoulder. This is life, Koa. This is what we are. We farm, we hunt, we defend. We survive or we don't. Why did they attack? We've traded with them. Your father is quiet for so long you think he won't answer. Finally, because they're hungry too. Their stream dried up last month. They need our water. He stands, his knees popping. And now they know we can defend it. Maybe they won't try again this season. Maybe. That night you lie awake, listening to your sister's breathing, replaying the moment your stone hit that raider's chest, wondering if your father is right, wondering if this is just what life is. Life continues, because 3 days after the raid, you're back to the same routines that have defined your existence since you were old enough to work. Survival doesn't pause for trauma. Today's task is checking the cornfield a quarter-mile from the village, in a small canyon where irrigation is possible. Your people have built a complex system of ditches and check dams to channel the stream water to the crops. It's the work of generations, maintained constantly, absolutely critical. You walk to the fields with your sister, Ama, who's 11 and already more competent with a hoe than you are. She chatters about something, a fox she saw yesterday, a new weaving pattern she's learning, and you half listen, grateful for the normalcy of her voice. The corn is knee-high now, the leaves that distinctive pale green. That means adequate water, but not quite enough nutrients. Corn is everything. Corn ground into flour for flat cakes. Corn kernels boiled into mush. Corn dried and stored for winter. Without corn you die. It's that simple. But corn is a needy plant. It evolved in Mexican highlands with summer rains, not in Utah's high desert, where rainfall is a cruel joke. Your people have adapted it over generations, selecting seeds from plants that survive drought, but it's still a gamble. Every year, you check the irrigation ditches. One is clogged with debris from the recent windstorm. You clear it, the mud cold and thick between your fingers. Emma's pulling weeds, dropping them into her gathering basket to feed to the rabbits. Your family keeps in a small hutch near your pit house. Rabbits are insurance. They breed fast, eat scraps and weeds, provide meat and fur. Your family has 6, which makes you relatively wealthy by village standards. Evening brings relief, relative relief. The temperature drops from unbearable to merely oppressive. You return to the village with Amma, both carrying baskets of weeds for the rabbits and a handful of squash blossoms for tonight's meal. Your mother is grinding corn on the meted stone outside your pit house, her arms working with the rhythmic efficiency of someone who's done this 10,000 times. The sound is constant in the village. The scrape, scrape, scrape of stone on stone, grinding dried corn into flour. She looks up as you approach. Good, we need the blossoms. Your brother caught a rat. A rat is decent protein. Not as good as rabbit, nowhere near as good as deer, but edible once you remove the gamey organs. Your mouth waters despite yourself. Dinner preparation is a family affair. Nakoa is skinning the rat with a flint knife, careful, precise cuts to preserve the small hide. Your father is tending the fire, adding dried juniper that pops and crackles. Amma is washing the squash blossoms in precious water. You're assigned to check the rabbits. You climb down into the hutch, a pit lined with stones covered with a juniper pole grate, and count. Still 6. Good, you feed them the weeds, watching them mob the food with comical intensity. When you return, your mother has shaped corn cakes and set them on the flat stone beside the fire. The rat is spitted on a green twig, already roasting. The smell is incredible. Fat dripping into the fire, hissing and smoking. Your family sits in a circle as the sun sets, painting the western cliffs in shades of red and gold that would not be beautiful if you had the luxury of caring about beauty. Mostly you're thinking about food. The meal is small. 1 rat divided 6 ways doesn't provide much meat. The corn cakes are supplemented with 3 squash blossoms each and some piña nuts from last fall's cache. You're still hungry when it's done. You're always hungry. After dinner, there's the brief window of time before darkness, when work pauses and community happens. It's your favorite part of the day. Though you'd never admit it, admitting you enjoy something feels like inviting the universe to take it away. Nakoa teaches you wrestling moves in the dusty space between pit houses. He's stronger and more skilled, but you're getting better. You last almost 2 minutes before he pins you, your face pressed into the dirt, his knee in your back. Better, he says, letting you up. The gash on his forehead is healing into an impressive scar. You're thinking more, reacting less. You spit dust and grin despite yourself. Thinking didn't help much. Thinking keeps you alive in raids. Reacting gets you killed. He demonstrates a grip, how to break it. Raiders don't expect you to think. They expect you to panic. The shaman starts his evening ritual, singing in the old language as stars emerge. Other villagers drift toward their pit houses. Children are called inside. The temperature is dropping fast. Desert nights are always cold. Heat fleeing into the cloudless sky. You're about to head inside when you hear it. A sound from the south that makes your blood freeze. A howl, then another answering. Then a chorus, wolves. Your father emerges from the pit house, atlatl in hand. Several other men do the same. Wolves are a serious threat, especially to the village dogs that help hunt rabbits and sound alarms. Losing a dog to wolves means losing a valuable tool and companion. The howling continues for several minutes, then fades. The wolves are hunting elsewhere tonight. Everyone relaxes fractionally, but now there's another thing to worry about. Your mental list of threats grows longer. Raiders, drought, disease, wolves, injury, starvation, cold, heat, snakes, scorpions, enemy clans, angry spirits, broken tools, failed crops. You descend into your pit house, into the closed dark warmth. Your family settles for sleep. Tomorrow will be the same as today. Survival. Always survival. 3 days later, you're selected for a hunting party. This is significant. It means your father and the other men believe you're ready, or they're desperate for extra hands, probably both. The party consists of 6 men, your father, Nakoa, 2 uncles, old Moza, who's the best tracker, and you'll be gone for 3 days minimum, possibly 5, hunting deer in the highlands, 20 miles east. You prepare carefully, water jars, dried corn cakes, your sling, a flint knife your father made for you last winter, a rabbit fur blanket for cold nights. Every item is essential. Weight is the enemy on long treks. Your mother hugs you briefly. Affection is pragmatic among your people and whispers in your ear. Listen to Mosa. He knows things. The party leaves at dawn, moving in single file along trails worn smooth by centuries of use. The first day is pure endurance, crossing the flats, ascending gradually toward the mountains where trees grow and water flows, and deer graze. You walk in silence mostly. Talking wastes water, wastes energy. Occasionally, Moza pauses to study the ground, pointing out tracks you can barely see. A deer, 2 days old. Bighorn sheep, recent mountain lion. Everyone tenses at this. Maybe a day old. By late afternoon, you've climbed into the transition zone where juniper gives way to pinyon pine. The air smells different here, richer. There's actual shade. You see plants that don't exist in the lowlands. Mountain mahogany, serviceberry. You make camp in a small canyon with a seep spring. Not much water, but enough. No fire tonight. Smoke would alert every predator and potential rival hunting party for miles. You eat cold corn cakes and drink sparingly. As darkness falls, you realize you've never been this far from the village. The enormity of the landscape presses down. You're tiny, insignificant, so easily killed by so many things. The second day begins before dawn. You're stiff, cold, hungry. The corn cakes barely dent your appetite. The hunters move upward, climbing steeper terrain, entering the zone where ponderosa pines grow tall and the air smells of resin. As Moza finds sign around mid-morning, fresh deer droppings, still moist. He examines them with his fingers, then tastes them. You try not to show your disgust. He nods. 4 hours, maybe 5. A buck. Heavy. The pace changes. Now you're stalking. Every footstep deliberate, watching for twigs that might snap. The hunt is spread out slightly, maintaining visual contact but covering more ground. You spot the deer first. Pure luck, really. A flash of brown against the green-gray of a hillside meadow. You freeze. Raise your hand in the signal Mosa taught you. Everyone stops. The buck is magnificent. The buck is magnificent. 4 points. Easily 150 pounds of meat. That's survival for weeks if properly preserved. Your heart is hammering so hard. You're sure the deer will hear it. Your father and uncle move wide, circling. Nakoa and Moza approach from below. You and the other uncle wait, ready with atlatls, spear throwers that triple the power and range of a thrown spear. The hunt unfolds in slow motion. The deer grazes, unaware. The men creep closer. A jay scolds from a pine, and the deer's head snaps up, ears swiveling. Butchering a deer in the field is skilled work. Every cut matters. Waste nothing, contaminate nothing, preserve everything. You watch and learn as the older men work. Mosa guts the animal first, carefully removing organs. The liver, heart, and kidneys go into a basket. High-value food will be eaten tonight. The intestines are cleaned in the nearby stream for use as cord and storage. The stomach is emptied and will be used as a water bag. The hide is peeled away carefully. Its prime summer coat, no damage except the spear holes. Your mother will be pleased. Deer hide makes excellent clothing and bags. The meat is sectioned. Haunches, shoulders, backstraps, ribs, neck. Everything edible is kept. The bones will be cracked for marrow. The antlers will become tools. The hooves will be boiled for glue. The sinews will become cordage and thread. The work takes hours. Your hands are covered in blood and fat, slippery and red. The smell is overwhelming. Animal musk, blood, and the green smell of released stomach contents. Finally, the meat is bundled. Each hunter will carry a portion. You're given a haunch, maybe 30 pounds, wrapped in hide and tied to your pack frame. It's heavy, awkward, but you don't complain. That night, you feast. The liver is roasted over a small fire. Risk of smoke is worth it now that the kill is made. The taste is incredible, rich and metallic and savory. You eat until your stomach hurts, knowing tomorrow will be a hard walk home and you need the energy. Your father is pleased. Good eyes, Koa. You spotted him first. The praise makes you feel strange, proud, but also more visible, more expected to perform. Responsibility is growing around you. Like a net, the return journey is brutal, carrying 30 pounds of meat in addition to your regular gear. Over 20 miles in summer heat. It's a test. Several times you consider asking to rest, but the others never pause, so neither do you. Your shoulders scream, your back aches. Your feet, even in sandals, are developing blisters. You focus on breathing, on putting one foot in front of the other, on not dropping the precious meat. By midday of the third day, you're descending back into the desert proper, leaving the mountains behind. The temperature climbs. Your water is running low. The meat is starting to smell despite being wrapped. Spoilage is always a concern. You see the village from a mile away, the pit houses like small wounds in the hillside. Relief floods through you, making your legs weak. The village greets the hunting party with unusual excitement. Successful hunts are celebrated. They're literally life-saving. Children run out to meet you, chattering. Your mother's face shows rare, open emotion when she sees you. The deer meat is distributed according to complex rules you don't fully understand. The kill maker gets the largest share, but everyone gets some. Your family receives a haunch and a share of organs. It's wealth beyond measure. That night, the village feasts. Corn cakes with deer fat, roasted meat, even some of the hoarded dried berries are brought out. The shaman sings gratitude prayers. The deer meat lasts your family 8 days. 8 days of relative plenty. 8 days when your stomach doesn't gnaw at your spine. Then it's gone, dried or eaten, and it's back to the familiar rhythm of scarcity. But something has changed. You're no longer Koa the boy, you're Koa the hunter. Small distinction, massive implications. You're expected to contribute at a new level now. Your childhood, such as it was, is effectively over. Your days develop a new pattern. Dawn water duty, then 4 hours in the fields, then hunting. Small game, mostly rabbits, lizards, birds, if you can hit them with your sling. Occasionally a jackrabbit, which is a prize. You're learning to read the landscape the way Mosa does, where rabbits hide during heat, which bushes shelter quail. I distinguish fresh tracks from old. It's like learning a second language, but instead of words, it's signs, bent grass, displaced pebbles, scat composition. One afternoon, you kill your first rabbit with your sling. It's not your first kill. You've clubbed rats and caught fish, but it's your first hunting kill. The stone strikes true, snapping the rabbit's neck instantly. No suffering. You carry it home with disproportionate pride. Your mother takes it without comment, but you see approval in her eyes. Nakoa nods. Your father says nothing, which is his version of praise. That night, the rabbit becomes stew. It's meat, some corn, wild onions Amma found, all cooked in one of your mother's ceramic jars, heated with hot stones. It's delicious. It's 3 spoonfuls per person. It's gone too fast. The seasons are shifting. The brutal summer heat is starting to ease fractionally. The corn is tall now, developing ears. In another moon, harvest will begin. This is the make or break time. If the corn fails, winter will be hard. If it succeeds, you might all live to see spring. No pressure. The raid comes at midday, which is unusual. Raiders prefer dawn or dusk, but these raiders aren't thinking about tactics. They're desperate. You're in the fields with Amma when you hear the alarm whistle. Different pattern this time. 3 short, 1 long. That means multiple threats, possibly from multiple directions. You grab Amma's hand and run. She's fast, fear giving her speed, but you're faster. You practically drag her up the slope toward the village. This raid is worse than the last. More raiders, perhaps 60, and they're not just probing, they're committed. They've brought tools for demolishing pit houses. They want to drive you out permanently. The battle is desperate. Stones fly thick as hail. You see a woman, not from your village, fall with a stone in her throat, choking on her own blood. You see your uncle's arm break, bones snapping audibly as a club connects. You're fighting now without thinking, pure instinct. Load, whirl, release. Load, whirl, release. Your shoulder screams. Your fingers are bleeding from the sling's friction. You hit someone, can't tell who, and they go down, maybe dead, maybe unconscious. No time to care. The raiders breach the perimeter. Now it's hand to hand. Your father is fighting with a club, trading blows with a man twice his size. Nakoa is grappling with someone, both of them covered in dust and blood. You pick up a rock, not for your sling, just a rock, and hit someone from behind as they charge your mother. The sound of stone meeting skull is something you'll never forget. The raider crumples. Your mother looks at you. There's something in her eyes, gratitude, horror, pride, all mixed together. Then she's moving again, fighting again. The battle turns when 3 of the raiders go down nearly simultaneously. Well-aimed stones from the village's best slingers. The raiders waver, lose momentum, retreat. They take their wounded and flee. You've won. If this is victory, it's the most Pyrrhic you've ever experienced. The raid comes at midday, which is unusual. Raiders prefer dawn or dusk, but these raiders aren't thinking about tactics. They're desperate. You're in the fields with Amma when you hear the alarm whistle. Different pattern this time. 3 short, 1 long. That means multiple threats, possibly from multiple directions. You grab Amma's hand and run. She's fast, fear giving her speed, but you're faster. You practically drag her up the slope toward the village. This raid is worse than the last. More raiders, perhaps 60, and they're not just probing. They're committed. They've brought tools for demolishing pit houses. They want to drive you out permanently. The battle is desperate. Stones fly thick as hail. You see a woman, not from your village, fall with a stone in her throat, choking on her own blood. You see your uncle's arm break, bones snapping audibly as a club connects. You're fighting now without thinking, pure instinct. Load, whirl, release. Load, whirl, release. Your shoulder screams. Your fingers are bleeding from the sling's friction. You hit someone, can't tell who, and they go down, maybe dead, maybe unconscious, no time to care. The raiders breach the perimeter. Now it's hand-to-hand. Your father is fighting with a club, trading blows with a man twice his size. Nako is grappling with someone, both of them covered in dust and blood. You pick up a rock, not for your sling, just a rock, and hit someone from behind as they charge your mother. The sound of stone meeting skull is something you'll never forget. The raider crumples. Your mother looks at you. There's something in her eyes, gratitude, horror, pride, all mixed together. Then she's moving again, fighting again. The battle turns when 3 of the raiders go down nearly simultaneously. Well-aimed stones from the village's best slingers. The raiders waver, lose momentum, retreat. They take their wounded and flee. You've won. If this is victory, it's the most Pyrrhic you've ever experienced. The aftermath is worstest. 2 villagers dead. Your uncle Tapo and a young woman named Siwa who was pregnant. 7 wounded. 2 seriously. The raiders left behind 4 bodies, which your people drag away from the village and leave for scavengers. No one has the energy to bury enemies. Your uncle's death hits your father hard. They were twins, born the same day, shared the same games as children, hunted together for 4 years. Your father doesn't cry, your people don't cry, but his face becomes stone, and he won't speak for 2 days. The burial rituals are abbreviated. No time for elaborate ceremony when there's constant threat. Both bodies are wrapped, painted, placed in pits. The shaman sings briefly. Life continues because it must. Your mother finds you that evening, sitting alone near the rabbit hutch. She sits beside you in silence for a long time. Finally, you saved me. Today, I killed someone. Yes. Does it get easier? She's quiet. Then no, but you learn to carry it. Your father has killed 12 men in raids. Your grandfather killed 19. It's what we are, Koa. We survive, or we're survived by. That night, you dream of the sound of stone on skull. You wake gasping, covered in sweat despite the cold. Ama is pressed against your back, and you realize you've woken her with your thrashing. She doesn't say anything, just holds tighter. The next day, your father calls a village meeting. All 23 surviving adults gather. The discussion is grim. These raids are escalating. The neighboring clans are getting desperate. Their territories must be failing. Their water sources drying up. Options are discussed. Move the village. But where? Every good water source in the region has people fighting over it. Build better defenses, but with what materials and time negotiate, but with what leverage when everyone's desperate. No solutions emerge, just the agreement to increase watches, improve defenses, and hope. Always hope. Life drags on. The corn harvest begins, and it's adequate. Not great. The ears are smaller than hoped. Some damaged by pests, but adequate. You spend 3 days from dawn to dusk, picking, shucking, processing. Your hands blister from the work. Heal, blister, again. Some corn is eaten immediately. Fresh corn is a delicacy, sweet and tender. Most is dried, kernel by kernel, on flat rocks in the sun. The dried corn is stored in sealed ceramic jars and cached in a hidden pit outside the village. Insurance. If raiders burn the village, the hidden cache might save you. You're working in the processing area when the trading party arrives. 5 men from a clan 2 canyons west, painted for peace, calling out their intentions from 50 paces away. Smart. Approaching unannounced is a good way to get killed. Your father and the other village leaders go to meet them. You watch from a distance, curious. Trading is rare and valuable. You have surplus corn this year, dried meat from the deer, some finished ceramics. They might have obsidian, seashells, cotton cloth from tribes to the south. The negotiations take hours. You can't hear what's being said, but you watch the body language, posturing, considering, gradual softening. Eventually, the traders are invited into the village proper, a sign of agreement. That evening, there's a trading display. The visitors have spread their goods on a blanket, obsidian blades, sharp and black and impossibly beautiful. Shells that came from an ocean you've never seen and can't really imagine, dried fish, salt, and most incredibly, a small mirror polished pyrite that shows reflections. You're mesmerized by the mirror. You've seen your reflection in still water, but this is different. Clearer, more real. You see yourself, gaunt, sun-darkened, older than you remember. When did you get that scar above your eyebrow? Your father trades 2 ceramic jars and some dried venison for 3 obsidian blades and some salt. The obsidian will make superior knives and arrow points. The salt is pure wealth, essential for preserving meat, flavoring food. 3 days after the traders leave, your father wakes you before dawn. Get ready. We're hunting bighorn. Bighorn sheep are the most prized game. Their meat is excellent. Their hides are thick and warm. Their horns make powerful bows. They're also incredibly difficult to hunt, living on near vertical cliff faces, where one wrong step means death. The hunting party is small. Just you, your father, Nakoa, and Mosa. Bighorn hunts require stealth and climbing ability over numbers. You travel west, into the canyon country where the rock formations are so bizarre, they seem carved by gods with too much time. Narrow canyons, natural arches, spires of stone rising hundreds of feet. It's beautiful in a way that makes you feel small and temporary. Mosa finds sign by midday, droppings, tracks, wool caught on a bush. The sheep are above, somewhere on the cliff face. You're going to have to climb. The climb is terrifying. The rock is smooth sandstone in places, crumbling in others. You're carrying your atlatl and spears, which throws off your balance. One section requires you to edge along a ledge, no wider than your foot, back pressed against stone, 300 feet of air below. Don't look down, Nakoa says ahead of you. You look down anyway. Instantly regret it. Your legs turn to water. You freeze. Unable to move forward or back, your father's voice from below, Koa. Breathe. Look at the rock. Just the rock. One hand, one foot, then the next. You breathe. Look at the rock. Move one hand, one foot, the next hand, the next foot. Somehow you don't fall. You reach a ledge where you can stand safely. Your whole body is shaking. Nakoa grips your shoulder briefly, acknowledgement that you didn't give up. Above, you can see them now. 7 bighorn sheep, including 1 large ram with massive curved horns. They're grazing on impossible slopes, completely casual about heights that would kill you. The hunt requires patience. You can't rush bighorn. They'll simply leap to places you can't follow and watch you give up. You have to wait for them to move to a position where a shot is possible. You wait 2 hours, barely moving. Your legs cramp. A fly lands on your nose. You don't brush it away. The sheep graze, occasionally lifting their heads to scan for threats. Finally, the large ram moves to a promontory, isolated from the others. Mosa signals. This is the shot. Your father nods to Nakoa. This is his kill to make. Nakoa loads his atlatl with the new obsidian-tipped spear. The trader's blade, hafted carefully with sinew and pine pitch. The range is 40 paces across empty air miss, and the spear is lost forever in the canyon below. Hit poorly, and the ram will leap away, wounded and unreachable. Nakoa breathes, sights, throws. The spear flies perfect and true, the atlatl multiplying his strength. It strikes the ram in the chest, piercing deep. The animal staggers, trying to leap but unable, and collapses. The problem now is retrieval. The ram is on a ledge. You can't reach from your position. You have to climb down, traverse across, then climb back up. It takes an hour of terrifying climbing. When you finally reach the ram, it's dead. The obsidian spear buried to the haft. The animal is magnificent. 200 pounds of meat and hide and horn. Your family will eat well for a month. The butchering on the cliff face is surreal. You're working with knives and fresh blood 300 feet above the canyon floor. Every piece of meat has to be secured or it'll fall. Your hands are slippery with blood and you're trying not to think about the drop. It takes 3 hours to process the animal and package everything. Then comes the climb down, each of you carrying a quarter of the meat. Your father carries the hide and head. The horns alone weigh 10 pounds. The descent is worse than the climb up. Your legs are trembling from exhaustion. Once you slip, and only Nakoa's quick grab saves you from falling. You reach the canyon floor as the sun is setting. You're alive. You have meat. Your respect for your ancestors who did this regularly grows immensely. The bighorn meat transforms your family's situation. For 3 weeks you eat well. Not full, never full, but better than usual. The hide is scraped, tanned, and turned into a winter cloak for your father, whose old one was falling apart. The horns are boiled, softened, carved into a bow that's superior to anything your father has owned before. But the improved conditions also mean your labor is freed up for other projects. Your father has decided it's time to build an addition to the pit house. The family is crowded, and with you and Nakoa both grown, the space is insufficient. Digging in desert soil is brutal work. The ground is a mix of sand, clay, and rocks that seem to multiply overnight. You swing the digging stick for hours, loosening earth that your mother and Amma then remove in baskets. Progress is measured in inches. Your father is shaping sandstone blocks for the walls, splitting them along natural fracture lines with wooden wedges and patience. Each block takes an hour to prepare. He needs 50. You dig for 5 days. Your hands develop blisters that pop, bleed, turn to calluses. Your back is a permanent ache. You dream about digging, wake up and dig more, fall asleep digging. On the 6th day, you hit rock. Not a small rock. A boulder 3 feet across, directly in the path of the planned addition. Your father examines it, then sighs. We work around it or we move it. Moving it means levering it out with wooden poles, a process that takes 3 men and most of a day. Twice, the poles break, sharp splinters flying. Once, the boulder shifts unexpectedly and nearly crushes your father's leg. He dodges with reflexes earned from decades of survival. The boulder is finally out, leaving a hole you have to fill. You want to scream. Instead, you pick up the digging stick and keep working. The addition takes 3 weeks to complete. Walls of stacked sandstone, carefully fitted and mudded. Roof of juniper poles covered with layers of bark, grass, and packed earth. A new entrance connecting to the old structure. When it's done, you have space, actual space. You and Nakoa will sleep in the addition, giving your parents and sisters more room. Privacy is still a luxury you don't have, but it's better. The first night in the new space, you lie awake, overwhelmed by the emptiness around you. You've always slept pressed against family members. This feels wrong, lonely, though you know it shouldn't. Nakoa's voice from the darkness. You awake? Yeah, silence. Then I'm planning to propose to Mina at the winter gathering. Mina is from the clan to the north. You've met her twice. She's capable. Not beautiful, but strong, which is more important. Father approved? He's negotiating the bride price. 3 ceramic jars, some dried meat, the obsidian knife. From my hunting gear, that's a lot. She's worth it, and her family has access to the salt flats. That's valuable. You think about this. If Nakoa marries, he'll move to her village, or she'll move here. Either way, things will change. Do you love her? Nakoa laughs quietly. Love is a luxury, Koa. She's competent, healthy, from a good family. We'll work well together. Maybe love comes later. Maybe it doesn't. This is how your people approach marriage pragmatically. Romance exists, but it's secondary to survival. You wonder if you'll be expected to marry soon. The idea is strange, terrifying. You should sleep, Nakoa says. Hunting party tomorrow. 3-day trip for pronghorn. You groan 3 more days of walking, stalking, hoping, but also 3 days of potential meat, which means survival. You close your eyes and will yourself towards sleep. The pronghorn hunt is a failure. 3 days walking through increasingly barren territory, finding only old tracks and dried scat. The herds have moved, following whatever sparse vegetation exists. You return empty-handed, demoralized, hungry from expended calories with no return. This is life too. Not every hunt succeeds. Not every plan works. You adapt or you die. The failed hunt means increased pressure on stored resources. The village council meets again, calculating what's left, rationing for the coming winter. The numbers are tight. If winter is harsh or long, people will die. Probably the very young or very old. As always, your grandmother's sister, Ola, is sick. She's had a cough for 2 weeks that's getting worse, bringing up blood. Now, the shaman makes poultices, sings healing prayers. But everyone knows where this is going. She's 68, ancient, and respiratory illnesses are usually fatal. You visit her in her pit house. She's lying on her mat, breath rattling. She recognizes you, smiles weakly. Koa, you've grown. Yes, grandmother. She's not technically your grandmother, but the term is respectful. You're a good boy. You'll be a good man. She coughs, a wet, terrible sound. Tell me about the bighorn hunt. So you do. You describe the climb, the shot, the meat. She listens with closed eyes, smiling occasionally. Halfway through, you realize she's fallen asleep, or something like sleep. You sit with her for an hour, watching her breathe. Each breath seems like it might be the last. It's not. She's tough, your people are tough, but eventually you have to leave for water duty. She dies 3 days later, early morning, quietly. The village mourns efficiently. A brief ceremony, burial, life continues. 22 adults left. The village is shrinking. Winter arrives suddenly, as it always does in the desert. One day it's cool. The next, there's ice in the water jars and frost on the ground. The pit houses, designed for this, become refuges. Outside is brutal. Inside is bearable. Your days shrink. There's no farming in winter, limited hunting. Mostly you do maintenance work, repairing tools, making cordage from yucca fibers, processing hides. Your mother teaches you more advanced basket weaving. You're terrible at it, but you learn because skills equal survival. Food becomes a constant calculation. 2 corn cakes per day per person, some dried meat, carefully rationed, pinyon nuts from the fall cache. Water, always water, though the stream runs cold and clear. The rabbits continue to breed. They don't care about seasons, providing occasional meat. You're responsible for cleaning their hutch, feeding them, checking for illness. It's cold, unglamorous work, but the rabbits are wealth. One morning, you wake to find it snowed overnight. Not much, an inch perhaps, but enough to transform the landscape into something alien. The red rock is capped with white, the air sharp and clean. You know, your father studies the tracks for a long time. Finally, they'll be back, probably waiting for deeper winter when we're weaker. He sounds tired. Double the night watches. That night, lying in your sleeping space, you hear the wind howling outside. It sounds like wolves. It sounds like the ghosts of the dead. It sounds like winter, which is just another word for hardship. The winter raid comes on the shortest day of the year, at twilight, when the watch is changing. 30 raiders, moving fast, betting on surprise and reduced defenses. But your father anticipated this. Double watches, pre-positioned stone piles, practiced responses. When the alarm sounds, the village responds with trained efficiency. This battle is different. You're not scared, or rather you're scared but functional. Your hands don't shake loading the sling, your aim is accurate. You hit 3 targets, dropping 2, wounding 1. The raiders hit the perimeter hard, but the defenders hold. Stones fly in the half-light. Men scream, blood steams in the cold air. It's brutal, desperate, and over in 12 minutes. The raiders retreat, leaving 6 bodies. Your village has 3 wounded, none critically. It's the most successful defense yet, and everyone knows why. Preparation, discipline, experience. You're becoming warriors through necessity. But here's the thing about successful defenses. You capture wounded enemies. 2 raiders, 2 injured to flee, are brought before the village council. Their fate is being debated. One faction wants to kill them. Their enemies, threats, a drain on resources. Another faction wants to interrogate them, learn about their village's situation, maybe negotiate. A third faction, smaller, quieter, suggests keeping them as slaves. You watch the wounded raiders. One is maybe 20, clutching a broken arm and defiant. The other is older, 40 perhaps, bleeding from a head wound, barely conscious. Your father speaks. We're not savages. We bind their wounds, give them water, send them back with a message. Attack again, and we kill everyone. This creates fear, maybe deters future raids. The council agrees. It's pragmatic cruelty, but it's also mercy by your world's standards. The raiders are treated, given water, allowed to hobble away after daybreak. You wonder if mercy will matter. You doubt it. Desperate people do desperate things. Winter deepens. The snow stays this time, covering everything in white that turns gray, then brown from dust and dirt. Temperatures drop below freezing at night, barely above during the day. The stored food is diminishing faster than planned. The corn reserves are low. Some jars were broken during the last raid, contents spilled and lost. The dried meat is running out. Hunger becomes a constant companion again. Your family starts skipping meals. Breakfast becomes a luxury. Dinner is 2 corn cakes and nothing else. You can count your ribs easily, see the bones of your wrists. The children suffer most visibly. Your younger cousin, a boy of 6, has stopped growing. His belly is distended from malnutrition. His arms and legs like sticks. He cries from hunger, then stops crying, too weak to protest. The shaman performs rituals, asking the spirits for mercy, for spring to come early, for rain, for anything. You don't know if believe in the spirits anymore, but you attend the rituals because what else is there? One morning, Nakoa shakes you awake urgently. Koa, the stream you need to see. You climb out, gasping in the cold, and follow him. Other villagers are gathered at the stream, staring. The water is barely flowing, just a trickle through ice. Something upstream has blocked it. Snow and ice creating a dam. This is catastrophic. No water means death quickly. The village has stored water, but not enough for the whole community for more than a few days. A party is organized immediately. You, Nakoa, your father, 3 others, to trek upstream and break the blockage. It's dangerous in winter, but there's no choice. The trek takes half a day through snow that's sometimes knee-deep. Your legs are numb. Your face feels like frozen leather. You find the blockage, a massive snow and ice dam, maybe 10 feet high, backed up with debris and frozen solid. Breaking it takes 3 hours of brutal labor, chopping with stone axes, levering with wooden poles, occasionally using fire when you can get it started. Your hands are bleeding, frozen, useless. Finally, the dam breaks. Water surges through, cold and fast and beautiful. You saved the village, for now. Spring arrives slowly, teasing with warm days, followed by freezing nights. The snow melts in patches, revealing the damage of winter. 2 more villagers died, old Tuwa, the chief, and an infant who never thrived. 20 adults left. 3 families have talked about leaving, finding another village. But where would they go? Everywhere is the same struggle. The corn must be planted soon. Planting too early risks frost killing the seeds. Planting too late risks missing the growing season. Timing is everything. Your father organizes work parties. The fields must be cleared of winter debris, the irrigation ditches repaired, the soil prepared. You work alongside everyone, turning soil with digging sticks, clearing rocks, building up check dams. Your hands, which had started to heal from the ice dam work, blister again. Your back is a constant ache. But there's hope now. Spring means renewal, means food will grow, means survival is possible. The planting ceremony is elaborate. The new chief, your father has been chosen, reluctantly, performs the traditional rituals. Seeds are blessed, prayers are sung. Then the actual planting begins. You work the rows, placing kernels carefully, spacing them according to knowledge passed down through generations. 3 seeds per hole in case one fails. Cover with soil. Move to the next spot. Repeat hundreds of times. It takes 3 days to plant all the fields. When it's done, everyone is exhausted but satisfied. Now comes the anxious waiting. Will the seeds germinate? Will there be enough water? Will pests destroy the crop? Will raiders attack during the vulnerable growing season? That night, you sit with your family around the fire. Your father's new status as chief weighs on him visibly, more responsibility, more decisions, more people depending on him. Koa, he says, next winter gathering you'll be eligible for marriage considerations. Your stomach drops. You're 16 now, nearly 17, adult by any measure, but married? Responsible for a wife, maybe children, soon after? I'm talking to several families, he continues. We'll see who's interested. You nod, because what else can you do? This is life. This is survival. Summer brings the trade gathering, an annual event where multiple clans meet at a neutral location to trade goods, arrange marriages, share information, and briefly set aside the constant threat of violence. Your village sends a delegation, your father, as chief, Nakoa, Moza, 2 women including your mother and you. You travel for 3 days across familiar territory, carrying trade goods, ceramic jars, dried meat, samjam baskets your mother wove. The gathering site is a large meadow near a permanent spring. When you arrive, perhaps 200 people are already there. More humans in one place than you've ever seen. Multiple clans, all painted with their identification marks, all wary but following the gathering peace. It's overwhelming. The noise, the smells, the sheer density of bodies. You stick close to your family, feeling lost despite being nearly adult. Nakoa finds Mina's family quickly. The negotiations for their marriage are formalized in a ceremony that's both business transaction and something almost tender. They'll live with her clan. Her father is chief, and they need Nakoa's hunting skills. You're losing your brother. The realization sits heavy in your chest. Your father takes you to meet potential marriage families. 3 different clans have daughters of appropriate age. You're paraded before them, evaluated like trade goods. It's humiliating and necessary. The first girl is 13, too young by your standards, though not by theirs. The second is 16, capable looking. But her family wants a higher bride price than your father can offer. The third is 17, named Elu from a clan 2 canyons south. Elu is not what you expected. She's tall, lean, with a scar across her chin from some childhood accident. Her eyes are intelligent, assessing. When you're introduced, she doesn't look away or blush. She studies you like you're a problem to solve. Can you hunt? She asks directly. Yes. Deer, bighorn, rabbits, can you build? I helped add to our pit house this year. She nods. Can you fight? I've been in 4 raids. Another nod. Then to your father and hers, we'll talk more. You're dismissed. As you walk away, you glance back. She's watching you. Expression unreadable. The gathering lasts 4 days. During that time, the clan relationships shift constantly. All is one day, wary the next. Information's traded as much as goods. Your father learns that 3 clans to the west have failed completely. Their territories now abandoned. That explains the increased raiding pressure. More clans competing for fewer resources. You spend supervised time with Elu. It's awkward, formal, both of you aware your families are watching. You walk by the stream together, a chaperone trailing at a respectful distance. Why are you really here? She asks abruptly. Marriage negotiations, you know that? No, I mean you specifically. Why did your father bring you instead of someone else? You think about this. I'm old enough. I've proven I can survive. And you hesitate. And my village is struggling. We need alliances. Marriage creates obligations. She smiles slightly. At least you're honest. She picks up a flat stone and skips it across the water. 4 bounces. My clan is struggling too. Our shaman died last winter, and we have no one trained to replace him. We need someone who knows the rituals. Does your clan know that about my family? That my father is now chief, and also learning shaman duties from old Mosa. That's why we're interested in the marriage. She looks at you directly. This isn't about you and me. It's about survival. Can you live with that? Can you? I don't have a choice. Neither do you. There's a long silence. Then she says, softer, but maybe we can make it work anyway. Not love. I'm not stupid, but partnership. Yes? You nod slowly. Yes, I think so. Procus. The marriage is agreed upon that evening. Bride price is negotiated. 2 ceramic jars, hunting tools, and a promise that your father will train Elu's younger brother in shaman rituals. You and Elu will live with your clan, at least initially. The ceremony is quick, practical. You exchange gifts. You give her a basket your mother made. She gives you a flint knife. The shamans bless you. You're married. You're 16. Returning to the village with a wife is strange. Elu walks beside you, carrying her possessions in a basket. Not much like everyone. The journey is quiet. You're both aware of the magnitude of change happening. Your family greets Elu formally. Your mother shows her where she'll sleep, with you in the addition. This is normal, expected, but it still makes your face flush. Elu seems unbothered, pragmatic as always. The village is curious about her. She's evaluated by the women, measured by the men. She submits to this with grace, answering questions, demonstrating skills. Her basket weaving is excellent, her corn grinding efficient. That first night, lying on mats with a stranger who's now your wife, you're both silent for a long time. Finally, Elu says, we don't have to, you know. Not yet, okay? Eventually, yes. Children are expected, but not tonight, okay? She turns toward you slightly. We're going to figure this out, Koa. We're both good at surviving. This is just another kind of survival. She's right. Marriage is survival, pooling resources, creating alliances, producing the next generation. Romance is a luxury you can't afford. Over the following weeks, you and Elu establish routines. She works with the women, learning your village techniques, sharing her own knowledge. You continue hunting, building, defending. In the evenings, you talk about practical things mostly, but sometimes about childhoods, about fears, about hopes for survival. You don't love her, not yet, maybe not ever. But you respect her. You trust her competence. And there's a growing partnership between you that might be more valuable than love. Anyway, one evening, 3 weeks into marriage, Elu takes your hand. It's the first voluntary physical contact, beyond necessity. Her hand is Kolya's, rough from work, warm. We'll be okay, she says quietly. You squeeze back. Yes, Autumn arrives with its usual anxiety. The corn harvest is decent, not abundant, but enough to survive winter if nothing goes wrong. If, always if, Ilu is pregnant. It happened quickly, 2 months into marriage. She tells you matter-of-factly while grinding corn, "I missed my bleeding. Twice now. You're going to be a father." The realization is paralyzing. You're paralyzing, you're 17, you barely keep yourself alive, and now you'll be responsible for an infant in this brutal world where half of children don't reach 5 years old. Koa, Elu says, "Seeing your face. We'll manage. Women have babies. Children grow. It's normal. Normal people don't live like this. These are the only people we know. This is normal." She's right, but it doesn't ease the weight settling on your shoulders. A child means more mouths to feed, more vulnerability, more things that can go wrong. Your father is pleased, though. Grandchildren mean the family line continues, means survival on a generational level. Your mother is excited, already planning for the birth, making preparations. The village comes together to help Elu through pregnancy. The women share knowledge about foods to avoid, how to ease morning sickness, signs of problems. Pregnancy is a communal experience, not private. Elu continues working. She has to. There's no concept of maternity leave. She grinds corn, hauls water, works in the late harvest, her belly growing slowly. She's tired, nauseous some days, but she perseveres. One evening, you're preparing rabbit snares when you feel Elu's hand on your shoulder. "Here," she says, taking your hand and placing it on her belly. You feel it. A flutter, tiny but distinct. Movement. Life, your child. The feeling is overwhelming. Terror, hope, responsibility, awe. All mixed together. You're going to be a father. You're going to raise a child in this harsh world. You're going to try to keep them alive despite everything. It's real. You say stupidly, winter is hard. It's always hard. But this year feels worse because Elu is 6 months pregnant, and the cold affects her more. She's exhausted constantly, her body working to grow a child while surviving on reduced rations. The village huddles together more than usual. Fuel is precious, dried juniper, cottonwood, whatever burns. You spend hours each day gathering wood from increasingly distant locations. The nearby dead trees were harvested years ago. Elu's pregnancy becomes a village concern when she starts showing signs of problems. Swelling in her hands and feet, headaches, dizziness. The women are worried. These signs can mean complications, can mean death for mother or child or both. The shaman, old Moza, now that your father has chief duties, performs healing rituals. Elu is given special foods from the communal stores. Dried berries, bits of precious fat, extra water. Everyone sacrifices a little so she might survive. You're terrified. The statistics are brutal. 1 in 10 women die in childbirth. 1 in 3 infants don't survive the first year. These aren't numbers, they're your wife, your child. One frozen morning, you're checking snares when you find tracks. Human tracks, fresh, circling the village perimeter. Scouts. Raiders planning another attack, probably waiting for deep winter when you're weakest. You report to your father. The council meets, debates, decides. The village is too vulnerable right now. Pregnant woman, limited fighters, low supplies. They make the hard choice. Send a delegation to negotiate. Your father, Moza, and 3 others travel to the raiders' village carrying gifts, ceramic jars, some dried meat, obsidian blades. The message: we're willing to share what little we have if you stop attacking. We're not worth the cost of fighting. They return 3 days later, faces grim. The negotiations partially worked. The raiders agreed to a temporary truce through winter, but the price was high: half your remaining obsidian, a third of your dried meat. and a promise that come spring, your village will help them raid a third clan. You're being forced into someone else's conflict. But the alternative is fighting, while Elu is due to give birth any day. There's no good choice, only survival. Elu goes into labor on the coldest night of winter. The temperature is below freezing, ice thick on the water jars, breath turning to frost in the air. You're sent out of the pit house. This is women's work. You pace outside in the freezing dark, hearing Elu's cries through the earth and stone. Each scream cuts into you. You're helpless, useless, terrified. Your father sits with you, saying nothing. Nakoa, visiting from his wife's village for the winter gathering that never happened due to conditions, sits on your other side. The three of you wait in silence, punctuated by Elu's labor. Hours pass. Many hours. Too many hours. The midwife, your mother, emerges once to request hot water and more light. Her face is grim. She doesn't say more, just returns inside. You try to pray, but don't know to what. The spirits? The ancestors? The uncaring desert that's killed so many? You bargain with the universe. Take anything. Take me. Just let them live. Dawn is breaking when you hear it. A thin, angry wail. A baby crying. Your mother emerges, exhausted, blood on her hands and arms. A son, she says. Both alive. The relief is so overwhelming you can't stand. You sit in the snow, sobbing without sound. Your whole body shaking. Your father's hand is heavy on your shoulder. Nakoa is grinning. When you're finally allowed inside, you see Elu holding a tiny, wrinkled creature. She looks destroyed, pale, exhausted, but alive. The baby is red-faced, crying lustily, furious at being born into this cold world. Koa, Elu says weakly. You son, you kneel beside them looking at this tiny person who's half you, half Elu. He's so small, so fragile. How will you keep him alive? How will you protect him from raiders, cold, hunger, disease, accidents, everything? But he's here, against all odds. He's here. A newborn in winter is a massive challenge. The baby, you name him Nalu after your grandfather, needs warmth constantly. The pit house fire never goes out, burning through your precious fuel stores at an alarming rate. Elu is recovering slowly. Childbirth damaged her body in ways that will take months to heal. She's in pain, exhausted, but the baby needs to nurse every few hours. There's no rest for her. You do what you can. You gather firewood obsessively, sometimes walking 2 miles for a single armload of dead branches. You hunt despite the cold, desperate for meat to help Elu produce milk. You take over all the water duty, all the heavy work. The village helps. Your mother spends hours caring for Nalu so Elu can sleep. Other women bring food, share knowledge about infant care. It takes a village to keep one baby alive, and the phrase isn't metaphorical. But Nalu is strong. He nurses well, gains weight, his cries are vigorous. He has your nose, Elu's chin, and an impressive ability to urinate on anyone holding him. You're exhausted, terrified, but also strangely happy in moments. You never expected to feel happiness. One evening, you're holding Nalu while Elu sleeps. He's wrapped in soft rabbit fur, his eyes still that newborn blue, staring at nothing and everything. His tiny hand grips your finger with surprising strength. You think about your own father holding you like this once, about your grandfather holding your father. An unbroken chain of men holding sons, stretching back generations, all in this same harsh desert, all surviving, just long enough to create the next generation. I'll keep you alive, you whisper to Nalu, I promise. Somehow, it's a promise you're not sure you can keep, but you make it anyway, because what else is there? You survive, or you're survived by. Winter is slowly loosening its grip. The days are fractionally longer. In another month, planting season will begin again. The cycle continues. You continue. Spring returns. Always, somehow, spring returns. The snow melts, the stream runs full, the first green shoots appear. The desert that tried to kill you all winter releases its grip slightly. Nalu is 3 months old now, growing steadily. He's starting to smile, to track faces with his eyes, to make sounds that might someday be words. He's surviving. You're all surviving. The corn planting happens. Again, you work the fields with Nalu strapped to your back in a cradle board, Elu made. Traditional, practical, keeping him close while you work. He observes the world from his safe perch, occasionally babbling. The promised raid commitment comes due. Your father leads a party, including you, to attack the third clan as agreed with your winter nemesis. It's the first time you're the aggressor, not the defender. The raid is quick, brutal, successful. You steal corn, some tools, drive the other clan off temporarily. You don't kill anyone. They retreat before it comes to that. But you're becoming what the desert makes you. A survivor who does what's necessary. You return to the village with stolen corn. It will help you survive next winter. It also means another clan is now weaker, more likely to fail. You've helped kill them. Slowly. This is the reality of your world. That evening, sitting with Elu and Nalu, watching the sunset paint the cliffs the same red gold. It's painted them for millions of years. You realize something. You're not a boy anymore. You're a man, a husband, a father, a warrior, a farmer, a survivor. You're Fremont. You and your people have survived in these impossible deserts for 1,000 years through skill. No, cooperation, pragmatic violence, and sheer stubborn refusal to give up. You'll survive another year, another generation, as long as you possibly can. Nalu makes a sound, something between a coo and a laugh. Elu smiles, tired but genuine. You take her hand, rough and warm and familiar now. The desert doesn't care if you live or die. The raiders will come again, the droughts will return, children will die, adults will age, and life will be hard. But tonight you're alive, your family is alive, and tomorrow you'll wake up and do it all again. Because that's what you do, you survive. So there you have it, Koa's year. One brutal, ordinary year in the Fremont people's 1,000-year survival story. He made it through raids, hunts, starvation, winter, and became a father. Tomorrow, he'll wake up and do it again, and the day after. For years, until eventually, he won't. But someone will, his son, maybe, or his son's son. The desert doesn't care, but they survive anyway. If this helped you drift off tonight, drop a like. Subscribe for more bedtime survival stories. And remember, your worst day probably beats Koa's best one. Sleep well in your climate-controlled comfort. You've earned it.